Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LO3's new podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Saturday, December 14th, 2019. Just to let you folks know, tomorrow will be the U.S.'s Bill of Rights Day, and wish everyone, friend or foe, a happy Bill of Rights Day. Indeed. Which it means government keep out. And speaking of government keep out, well, I'm going to be talking mainly what's been going on in the Old Dominion State, which is also known as Virginia. Looks like some of the elected servants in there, including Governor Northam, believes all laws are constitutional. I don't know where he gets his resources from, but we all know for a fact he was funded by one of CFR's greatest members, Michael Bendover Bobbin Bloomberg, which is a total truth, if you like it or not. He has a cow on what's been going on, trying to do tougher firearm laws in that state, and many of the counties are doing sanctuaries. And what's so cute, he has the audacity to threaten them with the National Guard. So, instead of I did my post, sent him my tweets, he don't like it, and I don't care, including some of his lackeys and the other governments, including Attorney General and some of the clowns in that Commonwealth. So, this one came from the Organic Prepper a couple days ago. It says here, Virginia lawmakers threaten Second Amendment sanctuaries with National Guard. And it's by Daisy Luther. You should check it out, organicprepper.com. I always love her content. And there's interesting here that she do donations with her. That'd be fantastic. And this is what she has to say. Virginia is the new battleground of the Second Amendment. After the most recent election, the state House and Senate are both Democratic majorities. And they haven't wasted a moment in attempting to gut the gun laws in what has been historically a permissive state. What are these new gun laws? The so-called assault weapon ban is SB 16. That it has perilously vague wording we all know to be incredibly dangerous in some interpretations. This law, if it passes, could make illegal the ownership or transportation of any semi-automatic gun extendable magazines are available for it. And you don't even have to have the extendable mags. How intrusive is that? The Virgin Mercury reports the new Democratic majorities are expected to pass a variety of gun restrictions, including universal background checks, red flag laws. They love Karl Marx, indeed. They love the Communist Manifesto, right? That would follow authorities to take guns from people deemed dangerous, and reinstatement of a one handgun a month law. But the proposed ban on particular types of firearms and the prospect of criminal charges for gun owners who didn't give them up seem to stoke the strongest outrage in the 40-plus rural localities that have declared themselves Second Amendment sanctuaries within the past few weeks. Of the dozen of bills already filed for the session that begins in January, Senate's assault weapon bill was the most read according to the state's online legislative system. And I will put that on the website, under the Virginia law and all that, so you could, I'll put that link in there so you could, everything I'm going to be talking about will be from this article and from there, from the laws itself, or what they'd be interpreting. Okay, I'm just going to, I know I'm tongue-tied here, sorry about that. Since the above article was written, it should be noted that Second Amendment sanctuary counties are at 80 and counting. One sheriff has even vowed to deputize citizens should these unconstitutional laws pass. After the public outcry, Governor Northam has said a provision will be added for current gun owners. In this case, the governor's assault weapons ban will include a grandfather clause for individuals who already own weapons, with the requirement they register their weapons before the end of a designated grace period. Northern spokeswoman Alina Yermosky said in a statement on Monday evening. Well, I can tell you this. He just incriminated himself for saying, to hell with Roe versus Wade. Yeah, throw that back at them. Even the ones who are pro-choice but don't want to have you own firearms. I'm not saying all, but the ones. Call them out. Oh, you hate Roe versus Wade, right? Good try, but no cigar, of course she said. Gun owners aren't going to take this line down. We've written before about second-man sanctuaries popping across the nation, and now Virginia is joining the fight. According to Gun Rights Watch, practically the entire state is saying no. Check out this map. And it is since December 11, 2019. Virginia counties have enacted or consider enacting 2A sanctuary resolutions for the right to keep and bear arms. Watch this article is going to be being updated regularly with sanctuary movement. These counties have passed resolutions vowing not to enforce unconstitutional gun laws. U.S. Today's report refers them as a publicity stunt and political statement. Yeah, well, remember, USA Today are a bunch of bend-over bobbing wussies that will go on their hands and knees to get respect. You can quote that, too, by Lucky Luck III, because I don't give them what they think. Richard Schrager, a professor at the University of Virginia School of Law who focused on insurrection of the Constitution and local law, told USA Today, rather than challenging an existing statute, the resolutions are mostly expressive and symbolic declarations, he said. In Virginia, state law supersedes local law. Citizens and local officials have to comply with state law, even if a county declares itself to be a Second Amendment sanctuary, Schrager added. That's what he called wonder putts. It seems that maybe understanding the force of thousands of clearly well-armed and outraged Virginians if they think it's just a publicity stunt. I'm pretty sure that the Virginians, I know, mean business. Now the state legislature is threatening the sanctuary counties and officials. Virgin Attorney General Mark Herring said that the gun owners are being ginned up by the gun lobby and had a few words to say about the rebellion. The resolutions that are being passed are being ginned up by the gun lobby to try to scare people. What we're talking about here are laws that will make our communities and our streets safer. We're talking about the universal background checks. Finally, maybe Virginia will pass universal background checks to make sure that people who are dangerous, who are criminals, and who are permitted to buy guns won't be able to buy guns, said Herring. Does that include the clowns in your own government enrichment, sir? Including yourself? Stare in a mirror, because it's not by the gun lobby. It's just the damn truth. Now proceed. So when Virginia passes these gun safety laws, they will be followed, they will be enforced. Bend over for management, bend over for authority, turn the other cheek if they tread you over. That's what he's saying. How exactly do they enforce these laws, those laws? One representative hopes that the law enforcement officers will just resign. I will hope they either resign in good conscience because they cannot uphold the law, which they are sworn to uphold, and they are prosecuted for failure to fulfill their oath. Democratic Virginia Representative Jerry Conley told the Washington Examiner of local county police who may refuse to enforce future gun control measures. The law is the law. If that becomes a law, you don't have a choice, and if you're not sworn, then not if you're a sworn officer of the law. How tough is that? By this person used bar is another Palmolive's pig as well. See, you see him right now. What's been happening? They're trying to use this whole Jim Jones, Pol Pot lingo. Remember the children of Khmer Rouge? I bet you that's their biggest influence in government. What these douchebags are saying. I'm being polite. I'm 99.9% sure that any sheriff who supported such a motion is not going to say, oh, it's the law. My bad, Jerry. Representative Donald McHannon believes cutting off state funds would do the trick. And that if that doesn't work, he has another suggestion that is far more drastic. McHannon also knows that Democrat Virginia Governor Ralph Northam could call the National Guard if necessary. And ultimately, I'm not the governor, but the governor may have to nationalize the National Guard to enforce the law, he said. That's his call, because I don't know how serious these counties are and how severe the violations of law will be. But that's obviously an option he has. Bringing in the National Guard to confiscate guns or override sanctuaries could only end one way, in bloodshed. Although one must wonder whether the National Guard members will comply with the governor over their friends, families, and neighbors. It's going to get ugly fast. As serious as these legislations are about getting guns off the street, Virginians are equally serious about defending their right to bear arms. It's the ultimate game of chicken. It looks like really has reached the point out of my cold dead hands. Virginia gun owners, myself included, have no intention whatsoever complying with this gun grab, and no consolatory. You can keep them, but you have to register them. Gesture is going to suffice. The only questions remaining: who's ready to die on this hill? I gotta say one thing. I love her style, Miss Luther. The truth of the matter is, my friends, you got traitors in the state legislation of Virginia. The law is the law. Don't even know their own damn laws. And I love the motto, Sic Semper Tyrannis. Latin means thus always to tyrants. Common used mistranslation is death to tyrants. Talking about honoring their oath. Well, I'm going to start off here from the Virginia Laws website. Article 1, Bill of Rights. Section 1, Equality and Rights of Men. They can say it's with plurality. That all men by nature equally free and independent and have certain inherent rights, of which, when they enter into a state of society, they cannot, by any compact, deprive or divest their posterity, namely the enjoyment of life and liberty, with the means of acquiring and possessing property and pursuing, obtaining happiness and safety. Inherited rights, my friends. These laws or these items they want to pass does not supersede. I'll continue on here. Section 2, the people, the source of power. That all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people. That magistrates are their trustees and servants at all time and amenable to them. Yes, you serve the people of the entire Commonwealth, not just a few big cities. Section 3, Government Institute for Common Benefit. That is government, or ought to be, instituted for common benefit protection and the security of the people, nation, or community of all various modes and forms of government. That it is capable of producing the greatest degree of happiness and safety. As you're going to hear some horns in the background, that's okay. I'm outside. I'm in downtown Fort Lauderdale, by the way. All right? That is the best way capable of producing the greatest degree of happiness and safety, and is most effectually secured against the danger of maladministration. And whenever any government shall be found inadequate or contrary to these purposes, a majority of the community hath an indubitable, inalienable, and indefeasible right to reform, alter, or abolish it in such matter as shall be judged most conducive to the public weal. Wow. That is super powerful stuff here. And of course, laws should not be suspended. This is Section 7. That all power of suspending laws or the execution of laws by any authority without the consent of the representatives of the people is injurious to their rights and ought not to be exercised. 9. Section 9. Prohibition of excessive bail and fines, cruel and unusual punishment, suspended of habeas corpus, bills of attainder, and ex post facto laws. That excessive bails ought not to be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in case of invasion or rebellion. Public safety may require at the General Assembly shall not pass any bill of attainder or any ex post facto law. Well, I'm going to give you what it means here. And this one came from, this is what it means, defines a bill of attainder. This is from legaldictionary.net. Means a law that sentences a person or group of people to suffer punishment for a crime without being able to exercise their judicial rights in defending themselves. Yes, that includes your red flag laws you want to pass. Don't worry, I did a show on it on my state of Florida too. And I have sent it to those clowns as well. Ex facto. 1. A form or consequence of a fact or action, actually, usually applied to an unlawful or tortious act as a foundation of a title, etc. Sometimes used as an equivalent to de facto. That's from Black's Law Dictionary, Edition 4. And the second definition is a type of law that criminalizes conduct that was once legal. That's from legaldictionary.net. Let's look at Section 11. Section 11. Due process of law, obligation of contracts, taking or damaging of private property, prohibited discrimination, jury trial in civil cases. No person shall be deprived of his life, liberty, or property without due process. That General Assembly shall not pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts, and that the right to be free from any governmental discrimination upon the basis of religious conviction, race, color, sex, or national origin shall not be abridged, except that the mere separation of the sexes should not be considered discrimination. That the controversies respecting property and the suits between man by man, trial by jury is preferable to any other and ought to be held sacred. All right? Sacred. The General Assembly may limit the number of jurors for civil cases in courts of record to not less than 5. That the General Assembly should not pass laws whereby private property to which the right to which is fundamental shall be damaged or taken except for public use. No private property shall be damaged or taken for public use without just compensation or to the owner thereof. No more private property may be taken than necessary to achieve the stated public use. This compensation shall be no less than the value of property taken. Lost profits and lost access and damages to the residue caused by the taking. In terms, lost profits and lost access are to be defined by the General Assembly. A public service company, public service corporation, or railroad exercises the power of eminent domain for public use when such exercise is for authorized provision of utility, common carrier, or railroad services. In all other cases, taking or damaging a private property is not for the public use if the primary use is for the private gain, private benefit, private enterprise, increasing jobs, increasing tax revenue, economic development, except for the elimination of a public nuisance existing on property. The Commodore bears the burden of proving that the use is public without the presumption that is. So I knew all about that. Of course, they had Section 12 about freedom of speech, right to peacefully assemble, and the government to afford a redress of grievances, which is all legal under that. Okay? So they're doing everything. The Virginian citizen, the people of Virginia, are doing things by the book. Here's what Section 13 has to say on militia, standing armies, military subordinate to civil power. That a well-regulated militia composed of the body of the people, trained in arms, is the proper natural self-defense of a free state. Therefore, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That standing armies in time of peace should be avoided as dangerous to liberty and that in all cases the military should be under strict subordination to and governed by the civil power. And it says right here, Section 15, qualities necessary to preservation of free government, that no free government nor the blessings of liberty can be preserved to any people but by a firm adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, frugality, and virtue, by frequent recurrence to fundamental principles, and by the recognition by all the citizens that they all have duties as well as rights, and such rights cannot be enjoyed save in society where law is respected and due process is observed. That free government rests, as does all progress, upon the broadest possible diffusion of knowledge, and that the Commonwealth should avail itself of those talents which nature has sown so liberally among its people by assuring the opportunity for the fullest development by an effective system of education throughout the Commonwealth. And they don't want to do that. The clowns are going in there as we speak. And Section 17, construction of the Bill of Rights. The rights enumerated in this Bill of Rights should not be construed to limit other rights of the people not therein expressed. So the truth of the matter is, my friends, all this rhetoric, all this lobbyist groups trying to use these excuses is invalid. These little laws and items they want to present does not supersede the supreme doctrine. Article 1, Virginia's Bill of Rights. That's the supreme doctrine. It means government keep out douchebags, clowns, and ingrates. I'm calling you all guys out. This is interesting here. If you leave the executive Article 5 of their Constitution, executive, Section 7, executive administrative powers, the governor shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. The governor shall be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Commonwealth and shall have the power to embody such forces to repel invasion, suppress insurrection, and to force execution of the laws. That's how far I'm going to go on this. And it's interesting because how to use all that. So he wants to use he wants to use the National Guard, if necessary, to suppress insurrection. And what does? And it says here too, the governor shall conduct either in person or such matters shall be prescribed by law, all intercourses with others in foreign states. I already put that in there already? Let me see. Oh shoot. Okay, I goofed up there. Okay, no problem. I hit that twice. And it says here, what is insurrection? Okay, it's from the Black's Laws Dictionary, 4th edition. Insurrection, rebellion, or the rising of citizens or subjects in resistance of their government. And it says here, see insurgent. Insurgent, one who participates in an insurrection, one who opposes the execution of law by forces of arms, or who rise in revolt against constituted authorities. So, that's by tyrants, right? And it's interesting about that because what Governor Northam's doing is actually contradicting himself. When he's insurrection on the people, well, he's the insurgent, the tyrant, the traitor. I'll go on here. Article 4, legislator. Section 9, immunity of legislators. Members of the General Assembly shall, in case except treason, felony, or the breach of peace, be privileged from arrest during the sessions of their respective houses, and for any speech or debate in either house should not be questioned in any other place. They should not be subject to arrest under any civil process during the sessions of the General Assembly or during the 15 days before beginning or after the ending of any session. So I underlined treason in this one. And what does treason have to say here? And this is mainly from Black's Laws Dictionary, right? Yeah, Black's Laws Dictionary. It says here, treason. The offense of attempting by overact to overthrow the government to the state to which the offender owes allegiance, or betraying the state into the hands of a foreign power. Interesting there. You got factions, okay? He's doing a factions game here. That's from the Webster Dictionary. Constructive treason. Treason imputed to a person by law from his conduct of course of actions through his deeds taken severely do not amount to actual treason. This doctrine is not known in the United States. High treason in English law. Treason against the king or sovereign as distinguished or petite or petty treason which might formally be committed against a subject. And it's funny, and this is here, right here too, it says Code of Virginia, Title 18.2, generally Chapter 11, against the sovereignty of the Commonwealth. This is what 18.2-841 says. This is statutes here. Treason defined how proved and punished person shall consist only in 1. Levying war against the Commonwealth. All right? Just to let you folks know, the state itself may be levying war against the Commonwealth with these threats. 2. Adhering to its enemies, give them aid and comfort. 3. Establishing without authority of the legislator and any government within its limits separate from the existing government. So he's trying to do these changes here. 4. Holding or executing in such usurped government any office or professing allegiance or fidelity to it. Or 5. Resisting the execution of the laws under color of its authority. Such treason, if proved by the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or confession in court, shall be punishable as a Class 2 felony. One thing Jefferson said, execution should be good for murder or treason. Class 2 felony. Interesting. So anyone in there could be is breaching that, violating that. Okay? Article 2, Section 7 comes down to it. Oath and affirmation. All officers or appointed under or pursuant to this Constitution shall, before they enter on the performance of their public duties, severely take and subscribe the following oath or affirmation. Quote, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge all duties incumbent upon me as a position, the blank, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. Now think about that. What you got in there, who the people that was addressed in this article, and many more, breached their oath. They should be charged for treason. You got all the evidence in the books, my friends. Everything's documented. Video, audio, published. They're your evidence. Anything that's unfiltered is prima facie just cause. And you can charge every one of these parasites for that particular law. Thomas Jefferson once said, a little rebellion now and then is a good thing. He even talk about the Tree of Liberty. That's the truth. And Lew Rockwell said the same thing, very similar. Rights cannot be altered or abolished. Governments can. That's the bottom line, folks. What you got in there now declare themselves treasonous parasites. And they make Benedict Arnold an honorable man. And that's the truth. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share through social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or present something interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence with decorum. I will put the footnotes on here where I addressed, so you can see it for yourselves. All right. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.